Hi guys, so not been able to do much flying recently. Weather's been absolutely crap and we've got this COVID lockdown thing, so I've got to be quite careful going out and flying. So I'm going to share with you today what I've been doing while I've not been flying. So I've just completed my AR Wing Pro, which I'll show you in a second. But before I do, I thought it probably worth starting at the beginning of my AR Wing journey. So this is my AR Wing 900. Started flying planes, I think in March 2019, so coming up for a couple of years now. This was the first wing that I bought after flying quads for quite a few years. So yeah, started off on 4S and completely stock, and then I just kind of got hooked on wanting to go faster and faster and faster. So its life cycle has been that then I've kind of wanted to beef it up. So then I started running on 5S with one of these Sunny Sky 2212 Mark III motors. This is the 1400 kV, and I ran this on 5S with an 8045 biprop APC, and it was phenomenal fun, and I just absolutely loved it. So then I did things like I put some carbon control rods on it, some aluminium horns. I beefed up the elevons with carbon down the sides and the back. I laminated it. I ran some carbon spars down the wings. I used the wooden winglets, and I fabricated, well, somebody else fabricated, JB Copter actually, for his big winglets, and fastened them on to make them super rigid too. I even put in inside the fuselage a carbon spar that braces the frame, the fuselage itself. So as a result, with all that, this plane is just, I mean, it's super rigid. I can hardly bend it when I'm trying to press it really hard. So yeah, end up being super rigid and super fun. So what I did then is I decided to go even faster. So I put 6S in it, and I put one of these Airbee, it's a 2514 kV 1498. It's quite a beefy motor, as you can probably see. And then I just blew an ESC, then I blew a second ESC, then I blew a flight controller, and then I blew a second flight controller, and then I got really pissed off and just put it to one side. So what I've decided to do now, I've built the AR Pro, which I've built on 6S, is I'm going to put the Sunny Sky back on it, put 5S in it, and just enjoy it for what it was, which was super agile and super fun. So yeah, so this is the beginning of the AR Wing story, I guess, for me. So when the AR Pro came out, of course, I just had to have one. So I'll show you now what I've done to my AR Pro so far. I'll just put that down. Okay, so my AR Wing Pro. Decided to change my colour scheme, go blue. So quite a different profile to the AR Wing, as you can see. Reminds me, you know, of a stealth bomber, really. Quite appealing shape. So what have I done to it so far? Well, not much. Pretty stock. I have done a few little mods, which I'll show in a little bit more detail. So in terms of the motor, I'm running a Brotherhobby Reunion. Now this is a 2318 1250 kV. Now I haven't done an amp draw test on this yet. It is all up and running, but I haven't done an amp draw test on it. And I'm going to be hopefully running it on a 7x6 prop. I'm running it with a 75 amp ESC. Now this is the T motor ESC, which you can see in there, fits really nicely, and I'm running it on 6S. So I'll move the camera so we can look at this in a little bit more detail and get some close-ups of some of the little bits that I've done on it, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, I'll be back in 2.6. Okay, guys, so I've got the camera so it's a little bit closer. So yeah, so just starting off with the motor again. So it's this Reunion 2318 1250 kV and an APC 7x6 prop. The ESC T motor 75 amp, and I've decided on this plane that I wanted to run it with the DJI system, because I really love the DJI system for proximity flying. This is not going to be a long range plane, it's going to be just for having fun proximity. But because you can't use Real Steady to smooth out your video, I've put a Session 5 in here, and I've made this Session mount, and I've actually tried to polish it to get, you know, maximum airflow on it, so it's really quite smooth. In terms of inside the front, there's the 6X battery. It's going to be running on a 2200 to start with, and I'm running the Matek F405. And I absolutely hate cables. After building a few planes now, seeing cables everywhere, so I mounted all the cables inside this this cover for the F405 just to keep everything really super neat. So I'll take that off in a minute and show you how that actually all works out. Another thing that I did was these compartments on the side of the wing, they're really kind of loose and wobbly, and because I want this to be quite a high speed wing, well hopefully anyway, I decided to make some little latches with some little plastic M3 thumb screws, so you can just screw these out. Not going to be going in these hatches very often, and then you can obviously open it, and I've just reinforced the top of the hatch with a little plate that I 3D printed. And inside this side hatch, I've put my GPS. I didn't want to put my GPS in this top cover because I never like attaching components to removable items. It kind of pisses me off when you open it and there's wires holding it in. And if it was ever to kind of blow off or come off, then you're probably likely going to lose your GPS. So yeah, I decided not to use that. I think it's much safer in that side compartment, and it also adds a little bit of balance to the air unit, which is in the other side pod. So if I just open the other side pod here, you can see that I've mounted the DJI air unit inside there. Made a carbon plate for it, so give it maximum cooling. So you should have air rushing in this front section over the top and out this back. So that's got a little carbon plate in there to hold that in, and the cable of course runs through the fuselage to the actual camera on the nose. So that's pretty cool. What else have I done to it? Well, the only other thing I've really done to it is on the underside. So let me flip it over. I'll just show you what I've actually done on the underside. So I've made this this little base plate for the Crossfire Nano, and that allows me to put the antenna through the wing on the wing there, and I don't really like gluing these things in, so I then made this kind of cover which has got like an interference fit. So that obviously goes over the antenna like that, and then that interference fit pushes into the wing. So when I push that, and it's quite tight, into the wing, it holds everything neatly in place, and I've got a little some little vents there to make sure that the VTX, sorry, not the VTX, that the RX stays nice and cool. The other thing that I've done is I didn't like the way that these servo cables and the cable for the radio receiver was, you could see it. So I've made these little tiny covers, just 3D printed them. They've got a little shape, so they're obviously kind of sliced like that, and they're just going to pop in there, and I'll just probably put a little bit of tape over the top of those, a little bit of clear tape, or maybe a little blob of E6000 just to hold them in place, because I won't be hopefully removing them very often. Got the standard stock stickers underneath. So in terms of the flight controller, just let me take the lipo out. So this is an Infinity 6S 2200 lipo. So the modification that I've done on the cam is, if you can see in here, I've actually got 2 thumb screws inside the plane. These 2 thumb screws, actually they are spare wing retaining screws from the AR. So if I just take these out, you can see how I've mounted the GoPro. So there's one, and here's the second one. Okay, and then that allows me to remove the session. So all we've got in the back of there is a 3D printed mount, and I've bonded in there some standoffs, and then you can screw this in from the inside of the plane, and it just holds on really nicely. So yeah, that's what I've done with my camera mount. In terms of the cover here, so just got again put a little bit of a standoff inside the fuselage, little aluminium thumb screw here, and I've made it so there's airflow still going through the fuselage, so there's no wires inside this section here, so the air can still flow through, and I've simply wired up the FC nice and neatly, so I can just pop that cover over the top just to hide all of those ugly wires. So yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of what I've done to it. Next thing is to get it out on a maiden flight and see how it gets on, and then we can start maybe thinking about replacing these elevons. They are really, really flimsy, even with the carbon spine. I mean, look how much they bend. And if this is going to be a fast wing, then I might consider replacing those with balsa. We'll see how it goes. I am actually at the moment building a 6S mini rack, so I don't want this to become like a replacement for that, and that's why I'm putting my original AR wing back down to 5S, because I don't need such a fast AR wing, because I've got this mini rack that's going to be hopefully pretty fast and designed for just ripping around. So this, I just want to be a fun plane and have a little bit of performance, and let's see how it goes. So hopefully, guys, I'll be able to get out and do the maiden, I don't know, within the next week or so, weather permitting, of course.